Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be using the beautiful Lola kit by Felicity Jane to create this layout. Oh, this kit is just beautiful. I love all of Felicity Jane kits, but the periwinkle blue that is in this kit is so pretty, and it's coming into springtime here in Australia, and it is the perfect colour tones for this time of year, so I'm really excited about it. So I've used some Simon Says stamp ink cubes there. I want to do some mixed media, but I realised that they're just not going to give enough of a watercolour effect. So I've gone back to my watercolour paints and I'm going to mix up my own colour. Now I want to recreate that periwinkle, almost lilac based blue that's in the kit. So I'm going to mix together some purples and pale blues to try to get that same colour. I've already penciled in my embellishments on the background where they're going to be going, as I'm going to be placing them on a diagonal from corner to corner. And I just want a little bit of mixed media to peek out from behind those. So I'm just using that one colour, a few slight variations, because obviously each time I have to make up a bit more paint, it's not going to be exact, and I'm quite happy with how that turns out. I didn't prep my page at all. I'm only using a really small amount of watercolour, so I'm not too worried about the page warping. And if I ever do get a little bit of slight warping to my pages, I just grab some old cardstock in a colour that I probably won't use, trim it down, take off about half an inch around each side, and then just back the layout onto that to just make it a little bit more sturdy. But I don't need to do that here. I don't really use enough watercolour. That's my photo I'm going to be using today. Beautiful black and white photo of my two girls. And there's my embellishments. Now you'll see I've cut into that big floral that I fussy cut out of the floral paper from Felicity Jane, because I realised so much of it was going behind the photo and I did not want to waste any of that paper. I tend to hoard my Felicity Jane florals. I have a few of them sitting in a box because they are so beautiful as a whole sheet of paper, but I find that then I never end up using them because I'm too scared to cut into them or to tear them up or cut them down. So something I'm working on. So as hard as it was to cut into this one, I did it, but I'm not going to waste any of it. So I've just grabbed a couple of the stamps that we get with the Lola kit. Remember This and Loving, and I'm using that purple Simon Says stamp ink to just put a couple of those on the page near the mixed media. And then I also grab the stamps that we got with the Brie kit, and there's some little butterfly stamps. I'm going to use the cluster of 3, and I've chosen some distress ink. I think it's the Tattered Rose colour, or it could be Worn Lipstick. I'm really sorry. I think it's Tattered Rose. And I'm just popping 3 lots of those butterfly stamps on the page. Now, I don't like my photo sitting flat on that cardstock, but I don't want too much distraction from the florals that I'm adding. So what I decide to do is grab a piece of printer paper, fold it quite messy. I'm not doing it overly neat. I'm going to attach my photo to that, trim it down, and use my scissors to just ruffle up the edges. And then I'm going to pop it up on some fun foam. And this just adds an ever so slight shadow line behind that photo on the page. It just lifts it enough that your eye's drawn to the photo and the focus is still the photo, but it's not going to distract from those florals. So I'm going to attach some of the florals now straight down onto the page with tape runner. So they'll be sitting flat to the page, and then a couple of the florals I'll pop up onto fun foam. Now the reason I'm putting the tape runner on like that is because I wanted it right up to the edges and I didn't want to get it all over my mat, so I flipped those florals over and applied it where I knew I'd be sticking things down on the layout. So it doesn't matter if sticky tape gets all over that area. So just popping my photo down now. And then the rest of the florals I'll pop up on some fun foam. These florals were so easy to fussy cut around as well. I'm not a fan of fussy cutting, as I've said before, and I'm probably not the most patient person. That's why I don't like fussy cutting, and I really don't like intricate small pieces to cut round. So these florals were fantastic. That big one was smack bang in the middle of the 12 by 12 paper that we got, and it was very easy to cut round. So I figure if I can do it, anyone can. So just getting the rest of those florals down, and then I will trim off any of the excess that's hanging over the page. Now there's quite a lot of white space on the layout, and I want to add to that because it's a little bit too distracting, but I don't want what I decide to do to take away from the layout. So I just pull over a bit of the edge of the cardstock, and then I look through my stash for paper that matches but is very plain, and I find this pink paper. I think it came with the Brie kit. It's a grid paper, and the pink matches perfectly to the pink in the flowers. So I'm just going to attach that down. On top and bottom, and on the bottom here I accidentally put a little bit too much tape runner down, so I'm going to cover that with a scrap bit of paper. I store my layouts in a box, and once a month I go through and pop them into their right albums, so while it's stored I don't want it getting stuck to the layout under it. So I'm just adding some of that blue, periwinkle blue cotton. I'm going to add that in 3 spots on the layout, and I'm going to be adding it behind some chipboard Flair. So of course I'm going to do that wrapping around my fingers to create that circle, and then attach those with my tiny attacher before using liquid glue to stick down the Flair. Now the Flair I think we got with the Brie kit as well, and I'm adding the Flair because the photo's very black and white, and I want to tie that into the page because the rest of the page is so pastel, but I don't want anything heavy. So the chipboard Flair has some really beautiful white Flair with black words, and I think I choose Together. I choose the white background with the black butterfly, and the top Flair is actually white with tiny black polka dots on it. So they're the 3 I add to the page. Then I pull out some small black and white puffy stickers and some small pink puffy stickers. and I can't remember what Felicity Jane kits those came in. They were in 2 separate kits, but just adding them for some extra texture. Now there's my title. That puffy word sticker came with the Alexis kit, and they are some of the best quality puffy stickers I've used. I actually went back and bought a couple more packets because they're so perfect for titles. So I'm using that word lovely, and that's going to be stuck across the bottom of my photo. And my title's actually going to read So Lovely. And I use, for the sew, some chipboard alphas that we got in the Felicity Jane Gina kit. They're a very soft grey, and so when I place them on the photo, it's actually in the area of my daughter's blouse, and they do get lost. So what I end up doing is I'm going to change the colour of them. I actually use some alcohol markers that I have, and I trial out a couple of different purple black based blues. They do come up a little bit brighter on the scrap paper than what they do on those chipboard words, because the chipboard letters, because they are coated, so it doesn't soak into the chipboard letters. But that's okay, it's exactly what I want. I just want a really soft hue, and it's perfect. It's just enough to stand out from my daughter's shirt. So there's some final pictures of my layout using the Felicity Jane Lola kit. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.